we don't normally make assessments relying on statistics for violence because we can only scratch the surface of the problem. We're not able to be in every situation across the country. What we can say for certain is that South Sudan is awash with arms, and the arms are not just in the hands of security forces, but also within communities. And this is one of the drivers of conflict, that civilians find it necessary to protect themselves. They don't rely on the state. We came back from Warab, which has been a state in which communities are in contestation with each other within Warab, but also across the state borders into communities from unity as well. And this is a challenge. It means that it's very difficult to always keep up on the levels of violence, but the latency of the violence certainly hasn't increased. So that the potential for what might look like a small crisis to create a spark in South Sudan is always very high. And that's why we are very much emphasizing the role of a truth commission to help to de-escalate and address some of these drivers of conflict, whether they're contestations over resources, over boundaries, or competition over power. So it's very important that we deal with the root causes. Otherwise, we'll keep reporting on the manifestations of violence, such as the situation in Western Equatoria. This latest flare-up is only the latest in a pattern that we've been reporting on in Western Equatoria. In particular in Western Equatoria, we have in the past said that there is elite contestation which plays out in the communities of Western Equatoria. Certain leaders from Western Equatoria don't see eye to eye on the politics. They've mobilized their constituencies. They've split that state on ethnic lines between the Zande and Balanda. And this is a challenge. So the solutions to the crisis in Western Equatoria also lie with the elites, some of whom are based here in Juba. On the latest one, it's something that we're going to go back to and investigate in greater detail. We like to make our own findings for ourselves. We don't just read in the newspapers. We've heard it said that there were certain military and political actors behind the latest violence, but we haven't investigated ourselves as to who they are and where they are at the moment. But what we can urge is that it is the responsibility of the government to investigate, to identify who it was that perpetrated those scenes that some people are seeing on social media, and to hold those people accountable, including through prosecutions if they've been responsible, particularly for violence and deaths. So Western Equatoria will feature in the report that we release next week. And if our mandate is renewed, we will go back to Western Equatoria and continue to document and make recommendations for accountability and prevention of the violence there. So what is new this time? We'll have a report out next week, and you'll have to make up your mind what is new. But as we've already said in our remarks, there is a pattern of cycles of violence in South Sudan that has not yet been broken. How do you break that cycle? Through, and my colleague Carlos is, I'm sure, is going to go into this question, you build a judiciary, a justice system that is responsive to violations through investigations, prosecutions. If people are found guilty, they are sentenced, they serve their time or make reparation to victims. That judicial service or criminal justice service needs resourcing. If you divert national resources, if you prioritize security or other sectors, then you will not break the cycles of violence in South Sudan. And again, we come back to the question of the Truth Commission. It's going to be an essential forum for addressing this question of how do we in South Sudan break these cycles of violence? Why is this violence happening? What needs to be done?